Hey guys, so the new hero is out. It is Juno, the Horde Mage. Normally we take a few more days to get enough input on how the hero really works, but I think in this case we have more than enough info to put out this review this quickly. So, I'm going to start by covering what she does, and then where she may or may not be useful, and then whether or not you should be pulling for her. So, let's get into it. Okay, so here is Juno. I do really love her look, so man, nice design for a character. So here is what she does. Her skill hits everybody, drains their energy by 50, drains their attack by 60%, which lasts for 3 rounds, gives your ally with the highest attack 50 energy, attack 60%, control resist 90%, and remove their control status. So pretty big buffs. It's like a mini Phoenix with the energy, plus good attack buffs for your huge damage dealer. Her passive 1 is HP plus, control resist plus, received healing plus, and then when she's hit, she gets defense and dodge. And her second passive is her regular attack hits 4 people, also gives your highest attack ally energy, and then also gives them attack 100%. And here is her final passive. So she has a new mechanic where she starts a battle in a little rabbit hole, and so in this rabbit hole she cannot attack or be attacked for the entire first round. That means that for all the poison shenanigans, all the Nyx shenanigans that go on round 1, she ignores all of that. And then when she does a regular attack, actually any attack, she gives all allies 50% max HP healing, removes abnormal states. This is like poison and electric shock and all that other stuff. And gives them attack 80% and damage reduced 50% for 2 rounds. So that's a really nice buff. It's a massive amount of healing. It's really nice to clear poison and stuff like that. Like you would think from reading this, she could be doing something against Chazlon. And finally, let's look at her skin. Her skin gives you HP, damage reduced, control resist. On a regular attack, she heals the ally with the highest attack and removes their control state. So like a mini Scold right here. Not game breaking, but not bad to have. And the mythic one just doubles all those numbers or so. Nothing huge like other mythic skins. So before I get into where she's useful, let's go into what's actually wrong with what she has. So first of all, this skill, draining their energy by 50, on paper that looks amazing. However, because you can store more than 100 HP, or energy, sorry, because you can store more than 100 energy, and because when she hits them they gain 10, ultimately this only drops them by 40, and if they happen to have 140 or higher, which let me tell you is very possible with multiple mythic tiers of the goddess, or if you happen to silence someone at the end of the round and they do a extra regular attack, it's very common for them to have more than 140 energy. Then if they have that, this doesn't stop them from firing. Or let's say you do fire it, it drops them to like 60 or 70, but then all the rest of your team hits them for 3-4 times, gives them 100 energy, and then they fire anyway. So this again looks amazing in idea, but in practice is going to be very minuscule in how much effect it has, simply because energy mechanics, like there hasn't been a lot of meta to play with energy right now, and with things like mythic tiers of the goddess on the table, now it's like it's really hard for something to come in and disrupt it. So this could be cool. It would be nicer if it just drained 100, like, or just drained all of it like Sigurd, but I think it's a step in the right direction. Unfortunately, if they were to patch it and make the cap only 100 energy or like 120, then you kind of flip a switch and she could become too powerful. So it's very difficult here to strike this fine line of being too powerful and useless, but in its current state, it's as good as useless. All right, and now let's look at her passive 3. This one is just, it's so weird, right? So because she's in her little rabbit hole, she cannot be targeted by Koshka, opposite with her T5 red, so that will just fail. She can't be targeted by Azathoth, but Azathoth, instead of like losing his exile, will just go target someone else. So that's, it's not really all that useful. And finally, on your side, she gains Galileo's artifact, but she does not gain any of the pet potentials. So she doesn't gain the HP, the speed, whatever potentials you have on your pets, she doesn't gain any of those. If you have Horde T3, which is giving them plus 50% attack for a few, I think 5 rounds, she doesn't gain that. She gets the rest. She also doesn't lose the HP every turn. So now you're just like, she's out of the battle, but she shouldn't lose access to all of these stats. And the pet potentials are huge. Based on her speed, I knew that she is 1 speed slower than Nyx with mythic skin. So I kind of always knew that that was going to be a problem because he will be able to hit her at the beginning of round 2 before she can do anything. However, now because of this pet potentials thing, instead of being 1 speed slower, she's actually like 81 speed slower. So now you're completely screwed. Even if their Nyx doesn't have an hourglass, you're still slower. Even if you mess up the rest of your team to work around her speed, she's way slower than you thought she was going to be. Plus, she's losing a massive amount of HP and whatever buffs you happen to have on your pets. So it's like, she could have been so good with that, but I don't know. Like, there's too many problems with this. And then additionally, her soul origin, her T5 red, that activates her disengagement again at 80 and 30, apparently this just doesn't work. So if she gets dropped below 80%, she just does not enter disengagement mode and probably doesn't give all these other buffs. So at least right now in her current state, she doesn't work. So where is she useful? Well, you would think that because of the energy drain, she could do something in PvP, but because of the limitations mentioned earlier, she doesn't really have that effect in PvP. Additionally, because of the pet potentials problem, she doesn't have an impact there because she will just die at the beginning of round 2. And then you look at her PvE potential, which is buffing your highest attack hero, usually Arwen, giving them high attack, giving a lot of energy to her with a skill or regular attack, and then both of those giving massive attack bonuses to Arwen. That would be pretty nice. However, in practice, she's barely even or a little bit worse than just a Scold. So if you were looking for a hero that would replace maybe a second Scold or just another buffer hero, she's there, but she's not going to be as impactful as, let's say, a second Scold. So now you really run into, if she's mediocre for PvE, she's kind of useless for PvP. Unfortunately, the end conclusion is we probably shouldn't be pulling for her. Now, I have hope for the future. I imagine that things like the red soul origin being just completely broken, there's no way that the devs don't fix this. However, at least some people tried to contact them about them being broken, or some of it being broken, back on the Chinese server, which is their test server, and they said, well, that's not accurate for when it comes to the global server, but unfortunately they didn't fix anything. So I have hopes that at some point they will address this, that they will fix her a little bit, and at least some of these abilities will be a little bit more useful. But in her current state, if you're low on keys, if you're just looking for someone to buff your team up right now, Juno is not it. And thus, my final conclusion is, unless you really want to experiment, unless you are hoping for the future, unless you're waiting for the next meta past Chazlon, you probably should save your keys and skip Juno. Let me say, this video was really hard to make because I had very high hopes for Juno. She looked very interesting on paper, but I did also suspect that the disengaged state would be a problem, especially against Nyx, and that turned out to be painfully true. So there it is. Okay, so that is all on Juno. Sorry to say it, but probably don't pull for her. This applies to almost everybody. Probably don't pull for her. That's it. See you guys next time.